Hello friends, welcome to my Sims 1 Chaos video. You probably have already seen the other parts, or at least one of them, but if you're just joining me now, the Sims 1 Chaos is a family I created that I've been testing in every single Sims game to see what happens when you leave your Sims alone for days and days at a time. So the Chaos family has Joe and Jenny, which are the parents, and then their 3 children. Normally I'd make them a teenager, a child, and a toddler, but yeah, Sims 1 doesn't have that. So they're all 3 children, but I did include all of them. And then we have our pet, our cat Miwo. And I had to actually go find Miwo because you have to go to one lot and go adopt a cat there. But fortunately it doesn't take too long and she's adorable. I had to include her. So Miwo is here. So let's see what happens when you leave your Sims unattended for several days in The Sims 1. So oddly enough, I could not fit all of the beds in at the same time, like a double bed for the parents. So I did like old school, like what, 1940s, 1950s sitcom style, and gave the parents their own individual twin beds. But, you know, starting out, it was pretty easy, you know, like they were showing love to Miwo, they were having positive relationships, the parents were actually feeding the children, and I was honestly really surprised how well my Sims 1 Sims were functioning by themselves. And I didn't pay attention the entire time. I'd walk away and do other things, but the kids all went to school and everything was good. And so we did about an hour on regular speed, and I was a little scared because this is the first one I did. But I went to speed 2, and 3 minutes later, Jenny started a massive fire. I'm just gonna play the footage. I thought the entire family was going to be gone. Like, I thought, you know, I barely made it through an hour with nothing happening, and the entire family was just going to be gone. So we lost Jenny, we lost Joe, and I thought, you know, like there's no way the kids are going to be taken away by the social worker. Like something bad's gonna happen, but you know, nothing really happens until the fire's completely gone. And you know, we lost Jeremy and we lost James. And we lost our couch, our fridge, everything. So when she passed out here, like Jasmine, I thought, you know, like she's gonna go too. And then ever so slowly, the flames started to die down. And it was just Jasmine and a whole bunch of ash and her cat Miwo. So I thought, you know, any day now the social worker is gonna come, or as she's skipping school because she's too miserable, you know, they will send her to military school. Because that was the thing in The Sims 1, if they hit an F for more than 1 day, they went to military school. And it was really tragic actually watching them march off to military school, never to be seen again. But the thing is too, kids can't fill a food bowl for pets. Only adults can. So we were kind of a race against time. There's no fridge, there's no way to feed Miwo, and it's just the 2 of them. So I was kind of waiting to see, like, are we gonna go to military school? Are we gonna starve to death? Is the cat gonna be taken away? Is the cat gonna die? Like, I don't know. But I was a little bit emotional at this point because my Sims all just died in a terrible fire, and as time went on not even super speed, just slightly faster speed, Jasmine just sat there and cried and cried and cried. And it was the most realistic, awful thing I've ever seen. Like, Sims in The Sims 4, they will maybe mourn if you tell them to mourn. They'll have a sad moodlet for a couple days and then just, it's whatever. And if they're unbelievably happy or something, they forget about their mourning. Like if their parent dies or their sibling dies and they, you know, do a couple inspirational happy things and like eat a vegetable and paint a good painting and, you know, like make a friend all at once, they won't even care that their parent died. And that's just so unrealistic. But here we are in this game that was made in 2000, and me playing this game, I was heartbroken for Jasmine here. And I could not do anything to change it because I was leaving it and not doing anything. So I was just slowly watching her cry at these grave sites over and over and over, and that's the only thing she wanted to do. Every once in a while she would go try to lay down in bed, but she was so hungry she couldn't sleep. And she would just get up and complain about how she was hungry and how she was tired. And every once in a while she'd be so exhausted she would pass out. And then she would just go right back to the graves and cry. And it was such a realistic way to represent her grief. And this is The Sims 1! The Sims 1! I don't know, it struck me, and the ghosts are wandering around and it made creepy noises every single time, and I couldn't tell if I loved it or not because I was a little bit heartbroken. So at about, I don't know, an hour, not quite an hour and a half, Jasmine finally starved to death, which she did have an F in school. So if she had made it one more day, she would have gone to military school. But she only made it until about 3 or 4 in the afternoon the day before. So 24 more hours and she would have been off to military school. And then it was just Miwo. And I thought the whole Jasmine bit devastated me. I really did. I thought, and it did, you know. But when Miwo was by herself with no food and no owners and her entire family was gone, it was too much. It was just too much for me. And then she survived. It was inspirational. She had no food, she had no water, she had a bed, and Miwo survived. She hunted, which the blurry animation always made me laugh when they're hunting because it's like too gory to have in The Sims 1, despite all the other horrible things you see, like for example the Grim Reaper. Terrifying. But yeah, Miwo, she survived. And she hunted for days, and she got her social from the strays. The only thing she really couldn't have was fun because her cat post was gone and she didn't have any other toys or anything. So she just lived in her abandoned house. At a certain point, her litter box was full, and when her litter box was full, she stopped using it. So she would just like go to the bathroom around the litter box, like nearby. Like, yeah, no, that's gross, I'm not going in there. Which is so like cat relatable. Like my cat, if his litter box is gross, he's like, nope, not doing it. So yeah. And then at the very end, I realized after I was almost hitting 2 hours on like slightly faster speed that there were no longer any mice around. So all of the mice stopped spawning. And Miwo was completely now on her own with no food, no litter box, and it was just so sad. I was just hoping that something would happen. And, you know, there's something in The Sims 1 where they run away and they don't come back. And so I got a notification saying Miwo is unhappy. Keep a close eye on your pet so that way they don't run away. And I was like, please, please, Miwo, run away. I don't want you to starve to death. Like, I was really hoping she would just leave the house. And part of me felt this story, like, after she lost her family that she actually cared about, she didn't want to leave. Like, she was just so attached to them and, like, their old rooms that she'd sleep in there and their little graves that she just wouldn't leave them, despite the fact that there was no food. I'm, like, getting emotional. And I was just like, please, just hold on until my timer goes off. Like, please, Miwo, you can make it. And she does. She barely makes it. I think if I would have played for 5 more minutes, she would have died of starvation. Wow, so that was more emotional than I intended it to be. But I mean, The Sims 1, it's whimsical and so hard. And I know I say this all the time, but The Sims 1 is hard. But I love it. I love the Sims franchise, don't get me wrong, and it makes me feel stuff. And I like to perform scientific experiments. So it both satisfies my need to experiment, and it also satisfies my need for, you know, like having emotions that I feel connected to these little virtual characters. So we're getting deep here, guys. But yeah, that's what happened when I left my Sims unattended for weeks on end, and I feel like I need to recreate that family and let them live happily to kind of like give me some good karma, because I feel really bad about what happened to them.